And I want to bring in Bill Kristol. He served in both the Reagan and George H.W. Bush administrations. He is now editor-at-large for The Bulwark and the director of Defending Democracy Together. Bill, you are among those against abortion, but you say this law even hurts the anti-abortion effort. You call it a step back or a setback. Explain.
Well, it's so extreme, the 6-week limit, which is actually less than 6 weeks. If you look at the details of the law, it's 6 weeks not from the inception of pregnancy. And then this kind of snitch, snitch on your neighbors aspect, which seems pretty un-American. So I think it's a foolish law from the pro-life point of view. It's not going to advance the cause. I don't think it's going to save a lot of unborn babies, honestly, in Texas, and it's going to cause a big backlash in Texas and elsewhere. Here in Virginia, we have a gubernatorial race going on right now, so we have a sort of a little test. Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat who's ahead, so he doesn't need to take any risks, is hammering his opponent, Glenn Youngkin, on this issue, saying he's going to preserve abortion rights here in Virginia, and he's beating up Youngkin, who, because Youngkin's on tape from a month or two ago, ducking questions about this and saying, well, I can't talk about abortion much now, but when I'm in office, when we control the Assembly, Republicans, then we'll go on the offense. And Youngkin ducked questions about abortion yesterday. So if you just assume that McAuliffe is a smart politician, Youngkin's running a reasonable campaign, they kind of know where the politics of this are, at least here in Virginia, which isn't exactly like the rest of the country, obviously. But still, here in Virginia, the Democrats think the Texas developments are helping them, and the Republicans are hiding from the questions.
I mean, to your point, all the recent polling shows this law is not popular on the national or the local level. Recent polls show the majority of Americans believe abortion should always be legal or be legal most of the time. And in Texas specifically, more people disapprove than approve of this new law. One poll there shows only 42% of voters support this new law. Another poll finds only 32% of registered Texas voters approve of the way lawmakers have handled abortion policy in that state. So, Bill, Texas has been reliably conservative for decades. If this isn't even popular in that state, why do you think lawmakers pushed it through?
I think they kind of thought they'd never have to actually live with the consequences of it. It was a sop to parts of their base. There's been a kind of reward for being more and more extreme in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years in the Republican Party, obviously. And so I think they did it without thinking it through. One thing I would add, Anna, to your point is, what's it going to look like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks from now? Aren't there going to be an awful lot of stories of people being harassed by troublemakers just looking to pick up $10,000? Being dragged into court. Maybe they didn't do anything wrong, or they're going to be hard to prove that they did anything wrong, even under this law. And incidentally, this law is going to be thrown out at some point by the Texas courts or the U.S. courts. So I think if you think about this dynamically over the next few months, it makes the pro-life movement, which on the whole has tried to behave pretty responsibly and go pretty incrementally in its efforts. People might not like it, they might not like the results, they might not like the Supreme Court justices, but it's been according to the rule of law mostly. It's going to make the pro-life movement look desperate and willing to resort to things that most Americans don't believe in, especially this bounty hunter kind of aspect of it. And we're going to see it in real life. It's not just going to be me and you talking about what it could be like. They're going to be reporters in Texas talking to people who are being hounded, presumably, by these bounty hunters. And for what end? It's not going to really reduce the number of abortions either, I don't believe.
Bill Kristol, I appreciate your perspective on this. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks.